Hey guys, what's up? It's Kulprit, and yes, I'm making a part 2 video to my Suppression Crybabies. I told you I was going to do it. I knew I was going to have to do it. I knew it was going to be a touchy subject, and I knew I'd get some pretty great comments, which I did. So I've been scanning through the comments now. I've been doing my best to answer them all up to this point. Still early though. I'm sure I'm going to get more, but there seems to be a consensus forming here, and I wanted to kind of address that. And I didn't really talk about how I would change suppression because I kind of thought, you know, I've done several videos on this and talked about this quite a bit on my channel, but it seemed to be a lot of new faces in the comments, which is awesome. So I figured I would just kind of go over that a little bit. I think generally we all agree, including myself, bullet deviation needs to be removed. I kind of thought that was understood, and I think it is. I think most people, whether you're pro-suppression, anti-suppression, it doesn't matter. If you're a Battlefield player, I think any form of randomality or any form of something that just makes things random should be removed. And bullet deviation especially, like, I don't see, you know, I want sensory deprivation. I want added recoil. I do not want my bullets to break physics. I don't understand how DICE thought that was a good idea. It seems like sloppy coding to me. I think it goes too far. So let's, for the sake of this, you know, I want to say argument or debate about suppression, let's take bullet deviation out of it. So are you still so against suppression if the bullet deviation, if your gunfire is true, okay? And basically what happens is your eyes blurry, your sound gets muffled, and maybe you got a little bit of added recoil. Are you still so against suppression, or are you on board now? Because I think everybody agrees bullet deviation, bad idea, bad execution. It does nothing but randomize the game, and it needs to be taken away. Again, I thought that was sort of understood. Poor job by me. I should have addressed that to start off the last video. Again, you'd think I would have learned by now covering Battlefield 3 for this long. But anyway, let's, for the sake of moving on, we're taking out bullet deviation. So how would I do it? And this is, I saw this a couple times in the comments, and it seems to be, again, a growing consensus is I would leave it as is for support LMGs. For the support class, you're using an LMG, you get suppression as it is right now, which would be the maximum point. I don't think it needs to go any higher than it is. And then what I would do is I would tone it down for everything else. I would probably tone it down a notch. Nothing crazy, but I don't think you should be completely suppressed by an SMG, let's say. But to make it real easy to understand, current suppression would go with support LMGs. This would give them, you know, a much more individualized role on the battlefield. If, you know, that M60 starts rolling up and he's on a hillside and he's shooting down, you're going to know it and you're going to be suppressed. And it's, you know, that guy's going to feel like he's really bringing a new weapon from the arsenal there. So now he, you know, it's a clear-cut role, and it's something I think would help distinguish the classes. But we know the classes may get mixed up in Battlefield 4, so that might not, you know, that might not be here nor there. But basically, leave it as is. Sensory effects, added recoil, no bullet deviation. I think one of the biggest problems I've seen in the comments and in general that people have, you know, when they're saying it increases luck, it lessens skill, it's a crutch. I think people too often equate gun skills with great player. And it's part of being a great player, but there's more to being a great player than just gun skills. I mean, people have just gotten so used to being able to shoot themselves out of mistakes that they just assume that they're a better player than everybody were. And that's true in past games. But here in Battlefield 3, and hopefully moving forward in Battlefield, that's not the case. You can't rely on just gun skills to bail your ass out when you make a stupid decision tactically. And that's the problem, is these guys are used to being able to just walk around a corner, not really worry about cover, and they can just outshoot anybody. Maybe they've got great twitch skills. Maybe they've got incredible accuracy, and kudos to them. Good job for getting there. But there's more to being a good, you know, FPS player than that, and I think that's why suppression is good. It adds a whole new facet to it, because you have to be a smart player as well as good gun skills. You have to combine the two. And these guys have, I don't want to say lazy, but they've just gotten used to getting away with poor tactical play. So, I mean, a lot of people point at, you know, well, it just gives too much advantage to whoever shoots first, and I can't, you know, win the gunfight if I get shot at first. Well, maybe we fundamentally disagree here, but I don't think you should have an advantage. I think the guy that shoots first has clearly somehow, whether he lucked into it or outplayed you, he should have the advantage. He should win the majority of those gunfights, whether he kills you with his first 3 bullets or not. That's just how it goes, and you need to adapt to that. You need to play smarter. You need to use cover. You need to think. You know, don't just, you know, some of these people, and maybe it's just because of the style of player that I am, that obviously I lean this way. I think that's pretty much common sense, but some people just kind of go in zombie mode and they play at another level. It's kind of like they're in the zone and they're twitching and they're headshotting and great, man. I'm in awe when I watch these guys. I subscribe to them. They're great players. But I know you need to now you need to be actively thinking so that you don't get shot at first. You adapt, get better. You know, you can't just shoot yourself out of mistakes anymore. And that's the big thing, I think, that differentiates Battlefield from any other series right now. It's not all about gun skill. You have to think. You have to always be thinking. You have to outplay your teammate. Or your teammate. Well, if you're doing that, you're probably doing pretty good too. You have to outplay your opponent. You can't just outshoot them anymore. You have to outplay them. And especially when you're trying to get 2, 3, 4 kill streaks going, you've really got to be mentally outplaying them more than you have to be outshooting them. And I love that. I think what happens is it makes good players that are willing to work on their game, they adapt to suppression and they make it used to their advantage. It widens the gap between great players and average players. Because a great player with good aim, like a lot of you guys that are coming at me because you don't like suppression, well, if you learn to harness it and you learn to play it and play smart, you're going to have an easier time shooting through suppression than Joe Average Shooter or a guy like me that doesn't have great aim. You're going to still have the advantage. It might be watered down a little bit, but you have an advantage. If you learn to use it, it only widens the gap, guys. So, you know, I'm not saying embrace it, and like I said, we all agree that bullet deviation is a problem. But, you know, it brings a lot of good things to a good player. It notifies you of threats, as I mentioned in the other video. A lot of times, the first time I know I'm in danger, my screen goes a little blurry. I don't hear it, bullet's suppressed, but my screen goes blurry, so I know someone sees me, or I'm in a bad lane, I gotta move. It enables me to move. I can suppress someone. I'm in a gunfight. I'm sometimes, like I said, I'm not shooting to kill, I'm shooting to keep the guy behind that crate so that I can move from my crate to a location he doesn't know that I'll be at. It's one-on-one tactics, really. And like I said, and then, you know, a great guy with great aim is going to compensate more easily for suppression than an average player, thus widening the gap, giving you more of an advantage. It's just the truth. You know, it may muddy the waters a little bit of great gun skill. Things are not going to be so surgical anymore. Absolutely not. And I understand why that would frustrate someone who's used to being one of the, you know, the 1% aimers guys, you know, that are used to this surgical twitch and aim. I feel for you a little bit because you are elite in that essence, but that's not Battlefield anymore. It's clear that's not the way they're going. There's more to it than just gun skill, and it's just more to it than just twitch and aim, and that's why I love Battlefield. There's so many different ways to be good at the game that it makes it accessible to anybody, not just the guys that are twitch and aims, and I have to embrace that. And if you guys have a problem with that, I think it's a lack of adaptation, really. So I think basically what I see in the comments is if we take bullet deviation out, I think a lot of you would be on board with suppression. Am I right? Like, please let me know in the comments. Let's get bullet deviation around. It's only sensory effects, a little added recoil. How would you feel about suppression then? And lastly, I do want to touch, a couple of you guys mentioned it should be toggleable on private servers, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think everything at this point should be toggleable on a private server so that competitive matches can do whatever the heck they want. And private match, whatever you want to go mess around on any configuration you want, you should. You're paying for the server, you should be able to turn anything off, anything on you want. If they're going to charge you money, they need to give you that option. So, I mean, I think that's absolutely, if you want to go play without suppression, go for it. I might not join that server, but that's your prerogative. You should be able to do so if you want to. So, lastly, guys, again, if we remove bullet deviation, where do you stand on suppression then? Sensory effects, increased recoil, but if your gun is on the target, it's going to shoot true, because that's what bullets do. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It really helps me out. And thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate the mature discussion. I was really impressed by that. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Just a reminder, guys, don't miss any of my content. Clicking the big screen in the middle, that's going to take you to the Battlefield 3 playlist where you'll find a lot of videos similar to the one you just watched. The video to the lower left-hand side, that's my Let's Play channel. Over there I post all kinds of Let's Plays and walkthroughs, Minecraft, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, all kinds of different games that don't fit into the first-person shooter genre. And to the lower right, make sure you do not miss the Company 008 community channel. You're going to find a lot of directors over there that post similar content to mine, so if you like my stuff, you're probably going to like theirs too. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a nice day.